Hi, I'm Handy the Dietitian, and welcome to Healthy Made Simple, where I show you how to make healthy eating simple. In this video, I'm going to be sharing how I keep my fridge, my freezer, and my pantry stocked so that I have ingredients to make quick, easy, healthy meals at all times. Now, I know this is a struggle for everyone. We all have that thought of, what am I going to make tonight? Over and over and over again. And whether you just feed yourself or you feed a household with other members of the household where you have to take everybody's preferences into account, it can really be a daunting task to decide, okay, what am I going to make today? What's going to be our healthy meal of the day? And I know there's so many ideas out there, but in this video, I wanted to give you a way to kind of simplify the process and make it a little bit easier. Now, this is what I follow anytime I'm putting my meal plans together so that we have some good healthy options, and also it's convenient for me to make everything. I do work full time, so I don't have a whole lot of time to be cooking, and having convenient options really does help me. So, in order to do that, first and foremost, the hard and fast rule that I follow, and this really is the only rule I follow, is that every meal needs to have 3 components to it. First one being protein. Of course, we need protein to help keep us full, to help fuel our muscles. And number 2, we do need carbs. I know carbs get a lot of negative thoughts behind it, but carbs are not bad for us. We do need carbs for energy. We just need to be mindful of the portion sizes. And the last item is going to be vegetables. Now, if I don't have vegetables, I will substitute fruits. But if I'm doing a lunch or a dinner, I do try to go for the vegetables as much as possible because that does help increase my vegetable intake, increases our household's vegetable intake to make sure we're following a healthy, balanced diet. Now, in order to do those 3 components, I think this is where it becomes a struggle for a lot of people because first and foremost, when we think of a meal, we think of one cohesive dish that's going to encompass all 3 of those items, the protein, the carb, and the vegetables. And that can be challenging to make in the proportions that you need as well, because we're trying to go for about half of our plate to be vegetables, at least a quarter protein, and the rest of the quarter to be carbs. And it's hard to put together meals that are going to have that level of balance. So give yourself the flexibility to basically just meet those 3 components, but not necessarily having to make that into one cohesive dish. You absolutely could, and I do have some ideas on how to do that, but you can also do maybe 2 of those components to be a dish together with something else on the side, or you can absolutely have 3 different items, and they could even be from different cuisines. It does not matter, as long as you fit that protein, the carb, and the vegetables in there, and all together on your plate, it tastes good to you, then that's a healthy, balanced meal. Now, in order to do that, I do keep options on hand for my protein, my carbs, and my vegetables so that I can hit those 3 components at all times. And depending on my mood and how much time I have for cooking, how much energy I have for cooking, and desire, I may have 3 ready-made options for those 3 that I put on a plate. I may cook some components or not, but having those options on hand where I could either do something pre-made and pre-cooked or just cooking it from scratch gives me the flexibility to be able to put together meals based on whatever's going on with us throughout the week. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you what I keep in my fridge, my freezer, and my pantry for those protein, carb, and vegetable options to show you how I kind of put together my meals and how I have these different ways of making meal planning and meal prepping convenient and easy for myself. If you're interested, stay tuned to see what I keep stocked in my fridge, freezer, and pantry. Alrighty, let's go. All right, let's start with the protein. Now, I find protein to be the hardest one out of all 3 to cook, just because cooking raw protein can be challenging. It does take more time, so I always like having pre-cooked or pre-made protein options available on hand for those nights when I really don't have a lot of time. But when I do have the time, I will cook protein and make that last at least 2 meals or so that I can make the most out of that cooking time. Now, all my protein gets kept in the freezer basically, unless I have something in the fridge that I'm trying to defrost. Most of the time, it's going to come out of the freezer. And we have two options in there. As I mentioned, I have my raw options and my pre-cooked or easy to cook options. Now let me start with the raw proteins. The three raw proteins I always keep on hand are going to be ground turkey. And all of these packs that I'm going to show you, I get these from Costco. They come usually in bigger, bulkier bags. They're portioned out like this, but they do come in, I think this one was maybe a 4 or 6 pack, if I remember correctly. So what I do is I just separate them out and stick them in the freezer so that I can defrost one at a time. But ground turkey is probably the most common ground meat that I cook. And then I also do keep some ground beef in the freezer. Don't make this as often just because I'm not a fan of beef as much, and I do try to keep the protein on the leaner side, but I will make this every once in a while. And of course, chicken breast is the last one. I get this from Costco as well too. And this comes with 1 to 2 chicken breasts in here, which will usually make about a meal for us. But those are the 3 options that I usually keep on hand. I typically don't go for bigger sizes or bigger cuts of meat. I just find it too challenging for me to cook. Those I will save for special occasions, but for everyday use, having just those 3 proteins that I know how to cook makes it easy for me, and there's enough variety for me to be able to switch it up as often as needed. I don't even cook these every week. I will be honest, there are a lot of weeks where I go for pre-made proteins just to make it easier for us, but if I am cooking, it'll be one of those 3 options. All right, next let me show you the pre-cooked or easy to cook protein options that I typically will go for. The first one, of course, being chicken nuggets. I have a toddler, so chicken nuggets are a big part of our diet because that's one of the easy things that he can eat. And I really like these ones from Tyson. I get this from Costco as well. There are other options out there that look like healthier options, but just check the nutrition label. I have looked through the nutrition label for a lot of these chicken nugget options that I see at Costco, and I still find that this one has a better nutrition label with nutrition components in terms of how much sodium and protein is in here compared to some of the other options that I see. Plus, I like the price point of this compared to some of the other ones that are smaller bags and more expensive. So if you're trying to be cost effective, budget friendly, and you like chicken nuggets or you have people in your household that like chicken nuggets, something like this is a really easy way of doing some protein throughout the week. I put these in the air fryer and they turn out really nice and crispy. And then I also use these cooked beef meatballs from Costco as well. Now these are a little bit higher in sodium, so I don't use these as often, but I do like these for a more kind of beef option since we don't make beef as often, for a change of pace from chicken and turkey when we get tired of it. So that's another one I keep regularly. And the last 2 I have are going to be fish options. I do try to incorporate fish at least once a week. Twice would be ideal, but most of the time we just get around to doing it once a week. And our 2 favorite options right now, this is probably our most favorite one, is the Alaska salmon burgers. This is from Costco as well. These are delicious. These are not pre-cooked, so you do have to cook these, but they just go in the air fryer and they're really, really easy to make. So these are a great option. And then the other one I keep is this everything seasoning cod, breaded cod from Kirkland as well, from Costco. This one is a relatively newer option. I do prefer that salmon burger over this, but this is a good option if you don't like salmon or if you want to change a pace from the salmon to do another type of fish. I cook this in the air fryer as well. In the midst of going through my fridge, I realized there's a protein that I keep in my fridge that I forgot to mention, which is chicken sausages. Now, typically, I get this from Costco. I'll either get this chicken sausage, or you may have seen me use the grilled chicken bites that come in little packs like this, little rectangular packs. I'll either get this, that, or both, depending on how I'm feeling. But this is a pre-cooked option that I like to keep on hand. These go great in wraps, in salads, in pasta, and just a nice alternative to the frozen options that I showed you earlier. Now, in terms of vegetables, I like doing both frozen and fresh vegetables. A lot of times in my meals, I'll actually put both together to really get to that half of my plate to be vegetables, because it can be kind of expensive to try to get to that half plate vegetables with just fresh vegetables, and that could be a lot of vegetables to chop up too. So I do like using frozen options for convenience too. And some of the common ones that we keep on hand are going to be, 1, edamame. This is a great kind of side vegetable to add to any dish. Microwavable bag from Costco as well. frozen broccoli. This can go into food. I will put this in maybe my pasta or stews or anything else I'm making, or it can just be steamed on the side as a side steamed vegetable. Cauliflower rice. I don't really use this like rice, but I will use this to more add bulk to my food because it kind of just blends in there. I do tend to add this to chilies. I've added it to pasta before too. So it's a nice way of kind of bulking up the food to create a bigger portion of food using cauliflower. I do have this mixed vegetable medley going, and this is kind of like an easy vegetable to toss into anything that you're making. Just to add more veggies. I mean, it's not leafy greens, you know, it's not going to be a high fiber vegetable, but it's still vegetables. So if this is what works for you, if you enjoy eating this, getting something like this and adding it to your meals is a great way of increasing your vegetable intake. And then lastly, I have the small little bag of green beans, something like green beans or any other side vegetable that you want to make. Frozen is a great option. Tends to be more cost effective too if you're trying to be budget friendly. Now moving on to fresh vegetables, there are a couple different fresh vegetables I like to keep. If I know that I'm going to have time to cook that week, I will buy some fresh vegetables that I can cook. Most of the time that's going to be bell peppers, zucchini, and squash. Those are the most common ones that I like to cook. And I actually have some left over. I had bought these from Trader Joe's. I had bought a pack of the squash and a pack of the zucchini, and this is what I was left after making a round of pasta for us. So usually there will be some sort of fresh vegetable like this if I know it's a week where I'm going to have time to cook. And some of the other kind of shortcuts I like to take are, I love using green onions. I hate chopping up onions. I know it adds great flavor to food, but it burns my eyes. I don't like how it feels, and it's so tedious. Love using green onions. I actually picked up this tip from when I was doing HelloFresh a lot, back when my son was really little and I just didn't have time to cook, so we were just getting a lot of meal kits. I noticed they like to use kind of the white end as the onion portion and then the green end as the greens portion. So you really get two things in one where you have your flavoring and then a little bit of greens in it too by using a green onion. So if you're trying to get into cooking and you don't like dealing with onions, try green onions instead. So much easier to chop up because it's just one long stick. You just wash it and you just go down the line instead of an onion where you're chopping and chopping and chopping and chopping, which I don't like doing. So green onions are a great way of doing that. I also like keeping some snacking vegetables, which are typically cucumbers in our household. We love cucumbers. So always do keep some Persian cocktail cucumbers. You can find Persian cucumbers, especially if you go to a Persian store. They taste so much better than these cocktail cucumbers. But if this is all you can find, this works just fine too. But Persian cucumbers are delicious. They tend to have better flavor to them. And then, of course, some of the things that I love keeping on hand is going to be salad kits. I went to Costco yesterday, so I bought a pack of the Green Goddess one and the Mediterranean Crunch one. These are my favorite ones, my go-to ones that I like to use at all times, so that we have an easy side vegetable option for those nights where I just don't feel like cooking vegetables. And lastly, I've got my carbs. Now, carbs are my favorite thing to cook. If healthy eating wasn't a thing, I could probably just survive based off of carbs. I'm a carb person. I love especially pasta, which is why I tend to make pasta pretty regularly at home. So we do keep a lot of different types of carbs readily available. You'll see I get some pasta sauce, jarred pasta sauce that I like to keep on hand. And then all the other carbs, spaghetti, I've got, let's see, some other pasta, all different types of pasta that I keep on here. And honestly, if you cook pasta multiple times a week, that is totally fine. It does not necessarily mean you're eating unhealthy. You can absolutely make pasta healthy. If you need ideas, check out some of my other videos where I've done some pasta dishes, because it's something we make on a very regular basis. And I try to just go higher fiber with the pasta I get, so that I'm going for either a whole wheat option like this, or a brown rice and quinoa option like this one, or I keep some noodles on hand too. I got these ones from Trader Joe's. I actually prefer their squiggly noodles better. The squiggly, I think knife cut noodles is what they're called. They're a little bit higher in protein and fiber as well, but this is a nice alternative to be able to keep on hand. So that's typically what I go for with lunches and dinners. The one other frozen carb option I keep is frozen rice. And you'll see me use these a lot, but I do the brown rice and the rice medley. These are from Trader Joe's that I get. I believe other grocery stores will sell some sort of frozen rice as well, so just take a look. And this is a great convenient option. A pack of these cooks in the microwave in 3 minutes. So that's great and easy for a rice dish that you're trying to make at night. Although I'm going to try to get into using my Instant Pot to make rice more often to kind of make this a little bit more of an affordable option, because this is a little pricey for what it is. It's not bad if you're living alone, but for us as a family, 1 pack is typically not enough, and this only comes with 3 packs, so we go through these pretty quickly. So I'm going to try to make rice at home more often. I don't have a rice cooker, but I know my Instant Pot can make rice, so I'm going to use that as an option. But if you're in a pinch, frozen rice works great. And of course, if all the pasta, the noodles, and the rice wasn't enough, I do keep other options as well on hand, such as pita bread, tortillas. These are the carb balanced ones that I like. I have some flatbread as well. So we get a lot of carb options at home. That's probably what we vary the most out of everything that I add on our plate, to have different options for carbs to make it a little bit more interesting. And then of course you want to have some other options and other maybe flavorings you're adding in it to put it all together. Some of my favorites that I like to do are guacamole. We do keep guacamole or the avocado mash at home at all times, so that we can add that on top of any kind of dish or meal that we're making. I also like to keep tzatziki on hand, different maybe dressings or sauces to help kind of flavor and spice things up so it doesn't get monotonous to eat the same thing over and over and over again. And that's how I keep my fridge, my freezer, and my pantry stocked, to have options for protein, for carbs, and vegetables that I can mix and match to create different meals. If you were to think about just even the options that I showed you today, and you were to mix and match, there's so many different combinations you can make all together. And you can kind of just go with whatever you're feeling like that day, whatever you want to pull out of the freezer or the fridge to put it together to make a quick and easy meal. So I hope this gives you ideas about what you can buy and what you can keep in your fridge, your freezer, and your pantry to make healthy cooking and healthy eating easier for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for my future videos where I will show you how I use all of these ingredients to put healthy, delicious, and easy meals together. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.